Australians have an irritating habit of beating us at most things, and in Sydney Harbour they have the largest natural harbour in the world. But with over 10,000 acres and more than 100 kilometres of coastline, we have the second largest, with Poole Harbour. Here at South Haven Point on Shell Bay, there is a ferry to take people and cars across Poole Harbour entrance to Sandbanks. Sandbanks is said to be the fourth most expensive place in the world to live. Here at Poole Quay there are various boat trips to be taken. In the Roman invasion of Britain in the 1st century, Poole was one of a number of harbouring sites along the south coast where Romans landed. The Romans founded Hamworthy, an area west of the modern town centre, and continued to use the harbour during the occupation. Poole was a small fishing port at the time of the Norman conquest, but grew rapidly into an important port. At the turn of the 19th century, 9 out of 10 workers in Poole were engaged in harbour activities. But as the century progressed, ships became too large for the shallow harbour, and the port began losing business to the deep water ports at Liverpool, Southampton and Plymouth. Tourism and water sport activities, sailing etc., are now the harbour's main usage. The average depth of the harbour is only 48 centimetres, with one main dredged channel through the harbour from the mouth to Holes Bay in Poole. Brownsea, Fursey, Green, Long Island and Round Island are the 5 main islands in the harbour. Owned by BP, Fursey Island lies to the south of Brownsea Isle. Seen from the water or adjoining land, the island looks like another wild pine-clad isle. However, hidden in trees is an oil well and gathering station for the Witch Farm oil field, which is linked by pipeline to the refinery near Southampton. Green Island was owned by the Davis family from 1987 until 2005, when it went on the market for £2.5 million, making it the most expensive island in the harbour. Green Island is around 45 acres at low tide, and the central raised part around 19 acres. The island is covered in extensive woodland in the centre. It also has heathland and salt marshes. At Green Island, many Iron Age and Romano, Potter Shale and Flint have been found. Round Island is 15 acres. It is a private property with a mix of grassy paddocks and woodland. Long Island is very close to Round Island, almost adjoining at low tide. It is also close to the Iron Peninsula. As well as the main islands, there are 3 small ones, Gigas, Drove and Perkins Islands. The Marines have a base at Poole Harbour. In 1964, during an archaeological dig, the fortified remains of a 2,000-year-old Iron Age longboat was found. The logboat which carried up to 18 people, would have been based at Green Island in the harbour. Poole Harbour has an indented coastline of just over 100 kilometres. Brownsea Island, owned by the National Trust, is by far the largest of the islands, 1.5 miles long by half a mile wide, over 500 acres. At Brownsea, where the scouting movement began, there is a relaxed atmosphere. Peacocks are abundant and can often be found displaying their fine feathers. Brownsea has a church and a castle, and has had various owners through the centuries, including George Cavendish Bendick, Charles Van Raalte, and the eccentric recluse Mrs. Mary Bonham Christie. Mrs. Bonham Christie banned everyone except her workers from the island. Old Harry, just off Handfast Point.
Sí, soy a él.
Right, where are you from?
I'm from Japan.
And what are you in, the Scouts?
Yeah.
How long have you been in the Scouts?
6 years ago.
Oh. Brownsea features Scots and Maritime pine woodland, 2 large acid lakes, freshwater reed beds, and a 69-acre saline lagoon. In the summer of 1934, a very serious fire broke out, reducing much of the island to ashes over several days, working west to east. The buildings at the east were only saved by a change in the wind direction. The cause of the fire was unknown. Some would say a freak event, others arson by a disgruntled worker. Mrs. Christie died in 1961, aged 98, leaving the island to her grandson, who would have to sell to pay the death duties. Brownsea Island is one of the few places in England where red squirrels still live. But at the height of the holiday season, the shy creatures are difficult to spot. Unfortunately, I failed to see any on this visit. There is also a boat trip from Poole Quay up the River Frome, or Frome as some pronounce it, including our skipper.
And we're now entering the River Frome.
The Sherford River, River Corth, River Piddle, and the River Frome are the 4 rivers that outlet into the harbour.
Also here at Redcliffe, they have their own yacht club. This is their clubhouse, the wooden building coming up around the corner now. Now once we get alongside the quay here at Wareham, we will be unloading from the lower deck of the boat at the forward end. That's the sharp end from the right hand side. And if you could just bear with us for a few moments until we get the boat securely moored and in position.
Freezing tits off!
The harbour is a drowned valley formed at the end of the last ice age. It is extremely shallow in places and has extensive mud flat and salt marsh habitats, as well as muddy and sandy shores and seagrass meadows.